The right occasion arose when an itinerant teacher happened to stride into town. He had really created some problems for them. He was kind of a rabble-rouser. He didn't fit the mold, and they were really looking for a way to discredit this guy and to run him out of town and to diminish his popularity. A guy went by the name Jesus. And when he came to town, they thought, okay, now we can capitalize. And they followed this woman to her lover's home. And in the very midst of committing the act of adultery, they raided that home. Blankets and clothes were flying, shame and guilt everywhere, shrieks of scream, something quickly wrapped around her. She's drugged through town without consideration of shame or embarrassment, because after all, she's a fallen woman, and she was thrown at the feet of Jesus. Hey, Jesus, the religious people said, what should we do with her? We just caught her in the very act of adultery. And do you know what our law says? You commit adultery, you get caught, you die. We pick up rocks and we throw them at you until you are dead. And that's a lesson to everybody. Don't fool around. That's what our law says, Jesus. What do you think? And then they stood back and said, this ought to be good. And here's Jesus, crowd, religious people, disheveled woman, clothes hastily wrapped around her, thrown at his feet, knowing exactly what she deserved. You know what Jesus did? He bent down and he started writing in the dirt. I have no idea what he wrote. History doesn't say. But it does say how people responded to what he wrote. It says one by one, the crowd around, with rocks in their hands, put the rocks down and walked away. Starting with the older people and ending with the youngest people. Jesus finally stopped writing and he looked up and so he said to the woman, looks like it's just the two of us here. Where are the people that condemn you? There's no one to condemn me here, sir, she said. And I'm not going to condemn you either. You're free. Now go. And leave this life of sin. You ever wonder how that woman felt at Jesus' feet? Especially when the crowd was there. Any minute she thought the first rock will hit. And I deserve it. What was I thinking anyway? How stupid could I be? And now I've been caught, and now I've shamed everybody, and now the rocks are about to fall, and I deserve it. She wasn't crying out at that moment for justice. Justice meant end for you. What she needed at that moment was grace. Something she did not deserve, but desperately needed. And I think when that grace hit her heart, something came alive. That was beyond her wildest dreams. Somebody who could look past the dirt and give grace. Do you think she got up from there and went on her judgmental little way, shaking her finger at everybody that committed any kind of sin? Or do you think she went, oh my goodness, I was toast, but I got grace. So who am I to judge anybody? I just want to give grace to them. See, you know where I need to live? And you know where I think you need to live? Right where that woman was at the feet of Jesus. Knowing that she deserved the rocks to fall, and instead having words of grace and actions of grace come into her life. Because if we live in those moments of knowing exactly what we actually deserve, but what we got instead, I think we would get up off our knees and we would give grace to other people, because it's the greatest thing in the world. It's life. That's if we see ourselves as we really are. So it can only be a pot of dirt. And it may only be a marred masterpiece. It might just be a mirror. Or maybe it's a way of saying we can't make anybody change. But if we're people of grace, light can come. Maybe it's a way of going, yeah, there's a lot of mud out there, but God sees the masterpiece through the mud, and maybe we should too. And speaking of mud, man, I still got a bunch of my own. And maybe since I'm totally without grace, maybe I could find a way to give it to other people too. Maybe that's what they say. Maybe that's what God says. What do you think? One place where we can practice grace is in community with each other. I'm going to ask Roy to come. And I just want him to share, just in a couple of minutes, about how grace, being accepted, loved, and served, can make an incredible difference in a person's life. Roy, you share a story?
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Roy Mazeski, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about our small group today. It's been a pretty incredible summer, to say the least, I guess. We've seen some pictures and have some stuff around here about Ken dolls and Barbie, and I'm definitely not Ken, but my wife is Barbie to me. This past summer has been pretty interesting. My wife has had some back surgery, and it's been a pretty difficult time for us. During this time, some people in our small group, I'll give you a little background first real quick. My wife and I are both previously divorced, have children from previous marriages. I'm a recovering alcoholic, and we somehow have found a home at the Prairie Chapel and also in a small group. A few weeks ago, this wonderful family allowed me to take their son to the Jeremy Camp Christian rock concert. And some people might say, well, that's cool, you took a kid to a concert. The part that you don't know is about 15 years ago, my brother would not let me take my niece to get ice cream because I'd had a few too many cocktails at dinner time. And the fact that this wonderful young man wanted to go to a concert with me, and the fact that his family trusted me to do that, is amazing to me. And then back in June, my wife had her back surgery, and she was unable to do all the wonderful things that she does for us as far as the cooking, the cleaning, and then on top of it, holding down a job and going to school full time. And it was very, very difficult for us this past few months. But the members of our small group all banded together, and we found out the job was maybe a little bit too big, so they called other small group members. So if you're in our small group, could you please stand up for me? I know where you're at. Stand up, please. Also, if you happen to cook a meal for our family, would you also please stand up? I know where you're at. This is my opportunity to personally thank you for doing what you did for our family. Because if it wasn't for you, we couldn't have made it. She had a spinal fusion that was very painful, and still very painful, and you're still helping us along the way. So thank you. I love each and every one of you. If you're not in a small group, this is what small group has done for me. So please join one. Please, please join one. It's that important. Thank you.
That community life in groups, where we do life together, we give grace, we get grace, something incredibly powerful happens, and everything is changed. We experience life.